And joining me, also from the Hill, Democratic Congressman Castro, who has been an outspoken advocate for immigration reform. Good evening to you. Is this all about Homeland Security funding, or is it, as the Republicans say, all about immigration?
Well, getting the bill done and making sure that our nation is safe, that is absolutely about Homeland Security. But what John Boehner is kowtowing to with the Tea Party is all about their feelings over the president's executive order. And there is already a lawsuit going through the courts right now that will settle that. This is not the place to settle that. The courts will settle that issue.
Congressman, you mentioned that. I mean, that is the weirdest part of this. Here we are looking at this countdown. We got a clock up on the screen because this is a real thing that could go down. And yet, as you just pointed out, the very thing Republicans say they want to stop, that executive action, has already been stopped by a federal court.
That's right. There's already an injunction in place. The Congress is not going to determine the constitutionality of the executive order. That's going to be left to a court, and that's already in the process of being done. So the Speaker has a choice. John Boehner can either help govern this country and give Americans what they want, which is funding the Department of Homeland Security, or he can placate the Tea Party. But you can't do both, obviously, in this situation. And so what's disturbing about this is that this is not an isolated incident. In fact, in the last 2 months, this is the fourth piece of major legislation that in this case has either failed or in 3 prior cases was scrapped, not brought to the House floor because it simply fell apart on him.
So, Congressman, to that point, though, does that just raise the question, despite winning seats in these midterms, is Speaker Boehner somehow weaker now than he was in the last Congress?
I think that he's allowed himself to be weakened. He's not using the full power of his speakership. Look, he appoints every single member of the Republican conference to their committees. He makes national board appointments and other appointments outside of this chamber. He's close to all the Republican Party major donors in this country. He's not bucking up and taking on a wing of his party that, quite frankly, is being destructive to governing this country.
Now, Congressman, as promised, I also want to ask you about what happens in the remaining hours tonight. I spoke with some Hill aides just before coming on the air who said it's possible there could be some other kind of vote or short vote. What can you tell us about what could happen tonight?
Well, apparently this new Freedom Caucus, which is the new name of the Tea Party caucus, they are negotiating with the Speaker to do a 1-week continuing resolution. What's going to change in 1 week? You know, what's going to happen that's going to be different? All this is doing is creating a high blood pressure for the American people and for other members of Congress. They need to just fully fund this thing through the end of the fiscal year the way the Senate did in a bipartisan way.
Congressman Castro joining us on a busy night. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And not far